Hello, this is Manuela, your career happiness coach, and thank you for joining me today. Today, I would love to talk to you about one of my favorite topics, which is happiness. And I would love to share with you 3 surprising happiness traps that might be keeping you from creating the career and life that you love. If you like what I have to say, please comment or like below on the side as usual. And I would love to hear which of these traps you think you might fall into. All right, let's get started. So the number 1 trap that can keep you from creating the career and life that you love is actually trying to reach your goals. What? Isn't this what we have been taught to do for all of our lives? Well, yes, but there are actually a couple of traps that we can fall into here. Number 1 is the type of goals that we set. Research has shown that goals that actually make us happy are goals that are meaningful to us, goals that we choose, and goals that come from a desire to express ourselves rather than to impress others. And then secondly, we often think that reaching a goal is what makes us happy. But the truth is, only a small amount of happiness comes from actually reaching the goal at the end. And that's what explains that sometimes, we reach something we have worked really, really hard for a long time, and we're happy for a short period of time, but then it sort of tapers off. And the reason why is that the enjoyment or the happiness comes actually from making progress towards a goal rather than actually reaching the goal. So that's the number 1 trap. And let's go to number 2. The number 2 trap is trying to be successful. Again, isn't this something that most of us are trying to do? Well, from an evolutionary perspective, most of us are wired to actually seek status and prestige because that affords us many benefits. The problem is that as part of that, we may be engaging in what is called conspicuous consumption. And that means in trying to buy things that will get us status or prestige. The problem with that is that it's called the adaptation principle, that we get used to things. So the new clothes that we buy might be really exciting at first, but after a while we get used to them. And then we feel like we need to get something new again, and that cycle never stops. And therefore it does not ultimately make us happy. Also, it can lead to overwork. We might see working hard as a badge of honor that gives us a certain status or prestige. And again, that might have a vicious cycle of us just working harder and harder rather than working smarter and doing work that's sometimes even unnecessary. And finally, it might also lead us to doing things that we don't really enjoy because we think we need to do those things in order to be successful. All right, trap number 3. Trap number 3 is having too many choices. Again, I know we feel like that's a good thing, right? Well, this is called the paradox of choice. And the more choices that we have, the more we feel that whatever we choose needs to be a perfect fit. And also, the more choices that we have, the more we feel, or the less confident we feel that we made the right choice. So we might end up second guessing ourselves, or we might be more likely to feel regret after making a choice. So we value choice, but it actually doesn't make us happy. So what can we do? Well, a few things. Number 1, in terms of goals, we can choose goals that are meaningful to us, that we choose, and that come from a desire to express ourselves, not from impressing others. And we can make sure that rather than waiting until we reach the goal to celebrate and enjoy it, to really enjoy every step of the way, literally enjoying the journey towards the goal, because that's where most of the happiness lies. Number 2, we can also be really aware when we're trying to be successful and see if it comes from a desire to have a certain status or prestige, and if we're engaged in activities that ultimately will not make us happy, such as conspicuous consumption, such as overworking, or choosing to do things that we don't really enjoy doing. And finally, we can limit or narrow down the number of choices that we have, because ultimately that will make us feel better about the choice that we actually make. And I see Johanna here saying that, yes, suffering from the paradox of choice. And that brings me actually to a good point. I have fallen into all of those three traps. So at some point in my life, and it's very, very easy to do. So here are a few tips those were a few tips for what you can do about that. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you enjoy this. If you want to know more about how you can avoid some of these happiness traps and prevent them from keeping you from creating the career and life that you love, please just comment yes below. And I hope to talk to you again soon. Wishing you a happy Friday and happy weekend. Thank you. Bye.